So, shall we begin?
Yes.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Shivangi Trivedi. I'm the college head AMSA from Topiwala National Medical College. Good evening to everyone and welcome to this webinar, which is called as What's Next, organized by AMSA in association with Padma Shri D.Y. Patil School of Medicine and Topiwala National Medical College. Since many of you are not a member of AMSA, I would like to let you all know that the Asian Medical Association International is a peak representative organization for medical students from across the Asia Pacific and beyond. AMSA India is a member of the same. We are very happy to have all of you over here. Now, my co-host Riya will continue further and introduce our keynote speaker for today, Dr. Vivek Nalger. Over to
Hello,
you,
good
Riya.
evening, everybody. This is Riya Bahadur, college head from Padma Shri Dr. D.Y. Patil, Mumbai, and we are honored to have with us Dr. Vivek Nalger. He's completed his graduation from Rural Medical College, Loni, and MD in Physiology from Lokmanya Tilak Municipal Medical College, Sion, Mumbai. He has a teaching experience of more than 25 years and is currently working as a professor and head of department in physiology at Padma Shri D.Y. Patil, Mumbai. He has traveled across India to conduct seminars to students inspiring to give PG entrance exams. He's also a faculty member at Prep Ladder and has guided people for PhD in physiology. Dr. Vivek Nalgirkar has 3 titles on PG preparation under his name. He has launched Physiology app on both Android and Apple platforms and has his own YouTube channel where he guides many students like us. On behalf of everyone, I welcome you, sir. I would also like to welcome all our participants joining us today from across Maharashtra.
I would request Sir to begin with the session, and I would just like to tell all the participants that at the end of the session, we'll have a 15 to 20 minutes round of question and answers, where you can ask all your doubts in the Zoom chat box as well as YouTube comments. And I will also request all the participants to stay on mute throughout the session. Over to you, sir.
Hey there. Good evening. Uh, Hope you all are doing well and staying safe, staying healthy, and studying well after the lockdown. So let's begin this webinar without much ado, without wasting any further time. Uh, First thing that I want to mention at the very outset is that what we have got so far, as on today, is uh, a proposed draft for the next exam. What I mean by that is it has not been officially ratified and officially denoted as the final version. So this is a proposed draft. Well, we can say with certainty that okay, finally it is going to be like this, and therefore we start our preparations from this moment, considering that this is the final thing that we might have to face as students. So the first thing is that I want to say is why there is a major change in the pattern of the entrance exams. Now, it's not only about entrance exams. The pattern, I would say that the first major change actually happened that the MCI, which was the governing body, got replaced with a new body called as National Medical Commission or NMC. So a major change in the regulatory body itself, and then the process started as to how we can produce uh, better doctors in country in India, and not only that, such doctors now they are calling it Indian medical graduate. So an Indian medical graduate should have the global standards. Now, first of all, I have asked this question at various fora in last 1 or 2 years, ever since the changes have been proposed. What was wrong with the earlier syllabus and earlier pattern of the studies? Uh, they have completely overhauled the medical education itself. So, right from the first year itself, there is a foundation course, and then the teaching pattern is not a straightforward one. Now, from this batch, the major change that they have made in the curriculum is that everything has to be clinical oriented. If I am teaching physiology subject, uh, then there should be what is the objective that is being taught and learned by the students at the end of every chapter, at the end of every lesson. What should be the outcome? So everything is now outcome based and clinical based. What clinical foundation can be formed by every topic? So major change happened, and I mean that's happened in the curriculum itself right from the first year. So that's not only applicable to the exams or entrance exams, but in general there was an overhauling. And I'll just take you back a little bit so that we understand why this change was made, and then we orient ourselves accordingly for this change that is happening. you know when I was in final MBBS, that was very long ago, of course. um, the PG admissions were on the basis of the final year marks or subject marks. Then, at least in the state of Maharashtra, then came the AIPGE, All India Entrance, All India Postgraduate Entrance. Then came the NEET, and now this next. So, a lot of changes have been happening in the past. Uh, why this change? First of all, they have put up this particular thing on the various platforms, that the concept of Indian medical graduate. I mean, I know you all are interested in knowing what exam you want to eventually give and how you should prepare for it. I know that, but I need to establish this point clearly in your minds, that there used to be a concept of family doctor previously, or a complete doctor at the end of graduation. The same doctor could perform surgeries, the same doctor could perform deliveries. So, it was a complete doctor. But what they found in the recent years or last 25, 30 years or so, that because of the entrance exams, the student was not attending the clinics, ward duties in their hospitals, and just preparing for the entrance exams. So even at the end of internship, a student was not able to put up an IV line or not give even give a intramuscular injection and so on. So therefore, they thought that we should now come to the global standards. Our doctors, of course, you must have already heard a lot of times from many people that our doctors in UK, US, or various agencies that they work for, NHS, for instance, they are on par with the doctors from across the globe, but they are slightly more theory oriented, and therefore it was thought that they should be now made more of a practical oriented and clinically oriented doctors. So that was the thrust of all this change which happens now, which we are looking at currently. So the changes have been made from the in the entire curriculum itself. Now next thing is, what is this next and what are the rules? First thing, and now you might have more interest in the discussion, is that what will be the rules for this exam, what will be the pattern for the exam. Well, this is my favorite quote: the only rule for these exams, entrance exams, or now we call it exit exam, next, the only rule for these exams is that there is no rule. Yes, that's the only rule. You know why I say this, why I like to say this, is that um, our medicine field, it does not have a standard textbook from where you read everything and the questions come from that and you have to write the answers from that and that's it. It's not like that in medicine. It's an ever evolving field, and therefore there are tens of books for every subject. Your preparation also widens accordingly, question patterns can change accordingly. So this is what we observe. And coming to the NEET exam, or the proposed next exam, you know I've seen over the last few years, every year it kept on changing. I mean, they have given the pattern for the NEET also. They had given the pattern in the past that this is going to be the pattern for the exam, and yet on at 1 year there were all the one-liner type questions, recall type questions. So the students for the next batch, they started preparing for all one-liner fact-based questions. And what happens next year? All the problem solving type or clinical type questions. So uh, that's how, and therefore there is no set rule as such. They can say that 15 MCQs can come from physiology. Fine. But then I'll give you the example. What do you say this? What's your opinion? There's a question. Tetrodotoxin is a specific poison for, and the options are sodium channel, potassium channel, calcium channel, chloride channel. Now, where will you take it? Is it FMT question because it is asking a poison, or is it a physiology question which is asking the channels, the channel poison? So uh, we can't say with surety that okay, this will be the strict pattern that we will have to follow. Or intraocular pressure, um, is it a physiology or is it ophthalmology? CSF pressure, is it anesthesia or physiology? I'm specifically talking about physiology because this is the subject that I teach for last 25 years, and I'm passionate about it. But it goes for all such basic sciences as well as the other subjects. That there will be quite an overlap, and therefore you cannot have strict compartments when you approach these exams. That's my first point that I want to mention. That uh, there cannot be a strict compartmentalization. You cannot look at a subject as okay, this is only 10 MCQ subject and I will devote only that much time. No, it will have quite a link with other. In fact, as I was mentioning, there was a complete overall of the curriculum. When now we teach a particular topic, let's say surfactant. Previously, we used to teach only surfactant and at the most maybe respiratory distress syndrome. Now we have to call clinical people. At the end of that lecture, the clinician, the medicine person will talk about the medicine part of it, and everything is now integrated. So your approach also from now on will have to be integrated rather than having a tight compartmental approach. That's the first and the most important thing that I want to mention here. That if you are, I'm assuming that many of you have crossed the first prof exam, uh, first year. I don't know how many are from first prof, so or first year as they call it, but many of you may be in second prof or third prof. So if you are reading pharmacology, then you have to read first the physiology again. Learning by rote, that system is over. A student said recently to me, "Sir, next is saying that uh, that you will have to have. I mean, the questions will be problem solving type, clinical case type, or problem solving type. Sir, problem solving comes in maths, and we are biology students. We didn't like maths, therefore we opted for biology, and now the problem solving is coming here. We were earlier used to have learning by rote, by hearting. In fact, I can tell you, I was traveling in Delhi. So once I was at a center at a medical college, and I saw one student who had a book of MCQs, and he was just reading from the MCQ book, MCQs and explanations. So I just asked him, "What are you doing?" You know what was his reply? He said, "I'm by hearting the MCQs." Imagine, the student was literally by hearting the MCQs, means the question, the options, and the correct answer. Now, such a student, if you are going to do that, then what is going to happen? It just change of language and you will falter. So therefore the learning by rote, that system, it's still there. I mean, you will have to learn some facts, that's fine, it will be there. But now your approach will have to be more and more solving the problems type. For example, I'll give you an example. This is my favorite MCQ from kidney. previously the question would be uh, para-amino hippuric acid is used to measure what? To measure the GFR, to measure the renal plasma flow, to measure the total amount of urine formed, or to measure the clearance of solutes. So it's used to measure the renal plasma flow. Fine. But that was the previous type question. Now the question will be like this. A technician was going to measure the renal plasma flow on a patient in the AKD department, artificial kidney department, and by mistake he gave thrice the recommended dose of PAH, para-aminohippuric acid. By mistake, by wrong calculation, he gave thrice the recommended dose. What will be the error in the estimation, measurement of the renal blood flow or renal plasma flow? Erroneously high renal blood flow will be measured, or no error, or erroneously low blood flow measured, or depends on the renal blood flow itself. Such questions are likely to be asked. Or a pharmaceutical company came up with a new dye into the market, and this was for measurement of cardiac output and blood volume. But it was found that this dye is sticky. It sticks to the vessel walls after injecting the dye. So what is the possible error in the measurement of cardiac output and blood volume by this method? Now, this will be the pattern, the problem solving type. So if you think that you have time, you will have to develop this ability now slowly. uh, Learn by rote, learn by heart, that's fine. That's one way of learning. But then try solving more and more of such questions. And I'll tell you, see, to solve such questions, one must have a strong foundation, strong conceptual foundation. And that comes by one thing. Everywhere, ask the question why. Ask, develop this ability of asking the question why. Even if you see the MCQ answer somewhere, ask why. Why is it like that? So you should interact with faculties more, so that they give you more and more conceptual background like this, and they answer these whys. Once this why is answered, the things will be very, very easy for you to solve such questions, problem solving type questions. So that is how it is going to be. Even for coming to the preparation part again, then I'll also discuss what is the proposed pattern. I'll come to that in a minute. But preparation. Now, I've always said that physiology comes in every other subject. Therefore, you cannot ignore this subject even now. 10% questions will be direct questions from the subject. So that is how it has been proposed in this pattern. So the 10% questions rather will be from the applied basic sciences. But the other questions also will require a lot of physiology understanding. For instance, there can be a question on multiple sclerosis, that a patient of multiple sclerosis, so it's a clinical type question, it's a medicine question, but what does it demand from you? Question is, there is a patient of a suspected neurological disease, and the patient says that he feels paresthesias in the leg and loss of vision, and uh, particularly the patient complains that whenever he takes hot bath, the symptoms worsen. When the hot bath is taken, or if there is a hot temperature near the body, the symptoms of that neurological deficit become worse. And then the question can be, uh, what is the likely diagnosis, or what could be the reason for it, and all that. So now if you know that there is demyelinating disease, and after demyelination, the axonal membranes, their resistance decreases, because myelin has been myelin, there's no more myelin, and because of that, uh, there is loss of charges across the neuronal membrane, axonal membrane, and therefore hot bath, means increased temperature, will cause a further loss of charges across means out of the nerve fiber membrane, and the symptoms of conduction block will become worse. So if you know this physiology, that there is electrotonic conduction from one node of alveoli to the next, how long can it take the impulse, and what happens if the charges are lost out of the nerve membrane. When you know this, then you are able to answer. Or for example, uh, mitral stenosis is a condition of decreased preload, decrease afterload. Mitral regurgitation is a condition of increased preload but decrease afterload. Aortic stenosis is a condition of increased afterload. Now, all these things you will know only when you have clearly understood what is preload and what is afterload. And then you can go on to learn stenosis, regurgitation, and all the manifestations of it. So, you know, all these basic sciences, they bear the same significance. Previously, there used to be 15 or 20 MCQs of physiology. Now that direct physio questions or direct anatomy questions, that proportion has been reduced, because now I'll tell you about the exams as such, how the exams will be conducted. The first prof, well, first of all, this pattern is going to be implemented from 2022. So first batch that is going to appear for this will be the 2017 batch. From there, it becomes applicable. This is a proposed draft as on today. And what they have proposed, already the 2017 batch has given all these first prof exam, second prof exam. But from now onward, they propose like this, that the first year exam college conducts, second year exam college will conduct, and third part 1 the college conducts, and then the third part 2, and then there will be this exam next, which will be a final year type exam. Means it will have these, it will be conducted over 3 days. So medicine and allied subjects 3 hours, that's on the first day, plus pediatrics. So medicine and allied 120 items or 120 MCQs, and pediatric 60 items. I'm calling it items because there may be MCQs or there may be uh, what, true or false or something like that. So that will be on the first day. Then second day, surgery and allied, again 120 items, 3 hours, plus ENT 60 items. And OBGY third day will be OBGY 120 items, and plus ophthalmology 60 items. So that 3 days exam, which is going to be the next exam. Now this is a theory exam and MCQ based type or objective type. And then once you have cleared this exam, once you have qualified, then you can proceed for internship. That's what is mentioned as of now. Qualifying this exam is necessary if you want to enter the internship and get an MBBS degree. So that's one. Qualifying is necessary. Second thing, what will be the pattern? 60% questions will be problem solving type. So just as I told you, para-aminoic acid, wrong dose was given, or a dye which is leaky, it leaks out of the capillaries, what happens to cardiac output measurement? Or a man drinks 1 liter of seawater, what will happen to him after 1 hour? Whether hypertonic dehydration or hypertonic overhydration, these are all problem solving. Means you have to know certain basics, only then you will be able to solve such problems. You have to know certain lots of formulae in various subjects. So 60%, more than half, will be problem solving type. 30% will be comprehension or analysis type, and 10% will be recall type. So memory based questions now have been reduced drastically, only 10% questions. So that's conducted over 3 days, and then you proceed for internship. There will be cutoff line just for passing, but this exam itself is going to decide your rank for the PG. So just one exam that will decide, and this same exam is given by Indian medical graduate. Same exam is there for the FMG, foreign medical graduate, because so far there is used to be a NEET exam for Indian students, and for FMG there used to be a separate exam. So that's also gone. One exam for all the students. It has been standardized now. And then you proceed for internship. And at the end of internship, there will be next part 2, which will be again conducted by the university. So all the exams are conducted by the university except this one exam, which is at the end of fourth prof. Uh, Means once you have completed all those years, then this will be the only exam conducted by the national body. And then at the end of internship, the next part 2, which will be practical based, it will be conducted by the respective colleges, or at least it is said that it is conducted by the respective colleges. So it will be only testing the skills part. There is no theory or MCQ, just practicals. And then once you clear, you are licensed to practice. So that's how they have proposed all these changes. Uh, and therefore, my first suggestion to you is, at whatever stage you are right now, look, my first point is, and my students from DYP know this, that I'm conducting Viva suppose, and I ask a question to a student. A student would say, sorry, I can't recall because I didn't revise it last night. My belief has been that the exams are not about what you revised yesterday or what you revised last week or even last month. The exams are about what you have been doing all this while, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Exams are for that, and not for just you will wake up at the last minute, or maybe at the start of it, third year, you will say, now okay, it's the right time to start preparing for NEET. Next, uh, those days are gone. You have to have a solid conceptual foundation from now onward. It sounds a little difficult, but it's not that difficult. You just have to be regular. You just have to be disciplined. And as I mentioned, these will be the key words. Mark my words. Ask why. To each and everything, ask why. Why is it like that? Even any question it could be. I mean, I can tell you physiology. Newbar's chamber, corners have WBC squares and RBC square at the center. You can ask why. Why is it like that in the Newbar's chamber? WBC squares are at the periphery and RBC square at the center. There may be some logic. And once you understand that, any question will be a piece of cake. You want the answer? I can tell you, look, WBCs are motile cells, RBCs are non-motile cells. And WBCs, by virtue of their specific gravity and size and shape, they tend to move towards the periphery. And that's the reason why Newbar's chamber is made in a certain way. Now, if you start understanding such things, then the things will start falling in place. Things will click for you. So ask why. And of course, one more thing. Generally, in problem solving type of MCQs or exams, the questions don't get repeated. Listen to this again. Look, factual MCQs could be repeated over and over. The topics get repeated, the MCQs get repeated. But that's not the case with clinical case based MCQs. The cases won't get repeated year after year, or problems will not get repeated. Majority of them will be new. Okay, so you won't have a yardstick, you won't have a reference point. Therefore, it will be important that you learn the subjects conceptually. It is very easy, I'm telling you, it's not that difficult. You just have to change the track from the recall type, learning by rote type, to uh, solving the problem type, means asking various questions related to that particular topic. So all it is sounding as if, oh, we have to change it completely. It's not like that. Just add this one component to your present reading. uh, Textbooks, one question I always face is, how important is it to read the textbooks? how important is it to solve the MCQ books? These two questions. Look, textbook reading is there is no substitute for textbook reading as such. But if you are in final year, then that time is gone. I mean, to read the first year textbook, to read the Guyton or Gannon. Not gone, I would say. You can refer to those textbooks, but you have the present subjects to deal with and then the past subjects to understand. In that case, it will be tough to, you know, time management will be difficult. Therefore, whatever year you are right now in, at least from that year onwards, try reading the textbooks mainly, standard books, and that will enable you to solve such problem type. And the MCQ solving, is that necessary from the start? Many students ask me this question. Do I read one chapter and immediately start solving MCQs on that? Well, that was okay earlier, that there is a recall type question, so it will be that chapter you have read and now you're solving MCQ. But now it's quite integrated. As I mentioned, they can ask you simply an arrhythmia caused by the digitalis. So question will be such that you have to know the sodium potassium pump. You have to know that digitalis binds to sodium potassium pump and competes with potassium for the binding sites, and then causing the arrhythmia eventually. So what type of arrhythmia is it? Whether it's extrasystole type or whatever. So try to integrate your knowledge. If you are reading pharmac, see, physio pharmac medicine, that's one track. Anat patho surgery is the second track, and then you have the other subjects. So have that track. If you are reading CVS in medicine, read it from physio and pharmac, then go to medicine. That will give you a good integrated approach, which is what is being demanded at these next exams. So my therefore, what I would say is that who will succeed in these exams is the person having strong foundation. Make a strong foundation, select your strengths, and keep harping on those strengths. Okay, I always see students preparing weaker subjects towards the end, particularly for entrance exams, because they think, okay, it's my weak subject. If I learn it toward the end, it might help me recall the matter. But actually, it doesn't work. If you have some stronger, and this particularly to those, if some of you are interns or final prof students, final year students, then I would say you are starting your preparation for the exam now. Next pattern, uh, make your strong subjects stronger. This is also the observation by many successful candidates who became successful in the entrance exams, that they said, howsoever you read the weak subject, in the end, in the MCQ, it remains weak. Instead of 5 on 10 MCQs, you might solve 6 on 10 MCQs in that subject because you read it in the end. But stronger subjects and bigger subjects, medicine, surgery, it makes a whole lot of difference. It's a world of difference that can be made if you make those subjects stronger. I'm not saying ignore the weaker subjects. No, I'm not saying that. But the point is that select your favorite subjects, read conceptually from them, and then read the factual things and correlate the matter from the other remaining subjects. So that's how you can approach, particularly those who are, if some of you are interns and about to appear for the exam or in the coming year or so. So these are some of the things that I thought I would share with you. Um, Textbooks, videos. Yes, one question which is very routinely asked is, how important are videos? Now, I run a YouTube channel, as was said in the introduction, and that channel is viewed by the faculty and students of all the subjects, because my subject physiology is such, and it comes in every other subject. So, but what they say, common thread in the comments is that it helps to understand the and build the concepts. Yes, so videos can do it, and therefore whatever faculty you appreciate, whatever teacher you appreciate, if there are videos available, you can follow them. uh, you can make your own notes, but as I said, make notes horizontally, means or rather I would say select the subjects and make notes accordingly. If you are reading medicine, mitral stenosis regurgitation, then make the notes of physio and pharmac then and there, in that, on that page itself, and then integrate it. So that's how you can proceed. Basically ऐसा है कि आपको सब्जेक्ट्स अच्छी तरीके से पता करने हैं, और टॉपिक्स आप देख सकते हो। यानी अभी मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले कहा, आई एम जस्ट सेइंग अ लिटिल बिट इन हिंदी। कुछ लोग हिंदी में कंफर्टेबल ज्यादा होते हैं, आई विल रिपीट इट इन इंग्लिश। देखिए, आप, मैंने कहा कि कोई रेफरेंस पॉइंट नहीं है। अब ये नेक्स्ट एग्जाम कंप्लीटली न्यू एग्जाम है, तो कोई पुराने क्वेश्चंस नहीं है जिसको आप रिफर कर सकते हो, करेक्ट। लेकिन सब्जेक्ट एक्सपर्ट्स के जो फेवरेट क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, फेवरेट टॉपिक्स होते हैं, दे रिमेन द सेम। इसका मतलब है कि अगर मल्टीपल स्क्लेरोसिस पे क्वेश्चन आया है 5 बार इन द नीट, तो नेक्स्ट में आने का चांस भी उतना ज्यादा रहता है, बिकॉज सब्जेक्ट एक्सपर्ट्स लाइक दैट पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक, सो दे विल आस्क दैट क्वेश्चन बट इन अ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग मैनर। तो इस तरीके से आपको प्रिपरेशन करना होगा। एमसीक्यू की बुक खरीद लो, जस्ट बाय द एमसीक्यू बुक्स, mark out those topics which have been asked repeatedly, because those MCQs are set by the subject experts, and subject experts like those topics. That is why they have been asked repeatedly. So mark such topics and go into greater depth for those topics. So that's how that one thing you can add to your preparation. I think I have tried to cover some of the points required, and I throw the field open for you all now. You can ask the questions.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us, and we're glad that the mystery about this exam could be clarified. So now, everybody, we're open to questions. So you can put in your questions in the chat box or in the comment section on YouTube.
So one has asked about if he wants to know if the next is applicable on the 2017 batch or not.
Yes, in the proposed pattern, it has been mentioned that it is as on today, as it stands today, next is applicable for 2017 batch onward. So although there was no other things were not applicable, like the other changes, but yes, the exam that you will face in the place of NEET, that will be next exam. That one change will definitely happen. I mean,
All right, sir.
yes.
And here we have a question, sir. Will it be easier than NEET or will it be tougher?
Well, look, this question is not so easy to answer. I'll tell you why. I mean, there cannot be a yes or no type answer in this. Please try to understand. Okay, I will answer this question. Don't worry. But first, I'll tell you about the question itself, whether easy or tough. Uh, Whenever we set the exam for our college students, or any exam for that matter, same paper, for the same paper, one student says that it was very easy, and the other student says, damn tough paper. So the so the thing is, this toughness or ease entirely depends on your preparation. But if I were to compare NEET with next, and your question whether it will be tougher or easier, it might be just the same on toughness index. It might be just the same, because and this is my guess, okay, because it's not only for the competitive exam for PGs, it's also the exam for the doctors to license licensed to practice, and therefore they can't keep it tough. It will be an easy exam, so that if you have a basic understanding, you will be eligible, you will get the license to practice. Toughness will come when you want to have a rank. So there are two things in this. Key eligibility, yes, that will be easy comparatively, in my opinion. Okay, this is just a guess. No one can say with certainty right now. But eligibility will be easier in this particular exam. It is an objective type, and they want to produce more doctors. Just they want to standardize the education. So eligibility will be easy, but achieving high rank might be tough. In fact, they will put, this is again my gut feeling, eventually they might keep some questions which can be answered by everybody, and then they will be put some questions which will be marked as if this question is answered, they will get some extra bonus points or something. That's possible, and that will be for rank holding. So yes, that's how it should be. So इसका इसका इजी और टफ ऐसे आंसर नहीं दिया जा सकता. मतलब एक एक कोर्ट में एक जज ने वकील ने पूछा एक पर्सन को जो स्टैंडिंग इन द कोर्ट कि आपने चोरी करना छोड़ दिया, यस और नो में आंसर दे दो. यस बोला तो पहले करता था, नो बोला तो अभी भी करता है. तो कुछ क्वेश्चन के आंसर इतने लीनियर नहीं हो सकते यस और नो में, बट मेरे ख्याल से थोड़ा इजियर होगा क्योंकि ये क्वालिफाइंग एग्जाम है.
Right. So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is, what if we want to improve in next one score? How can we do that?
Improve the next one score, but improve means somebody
Yes,
has
sir.
already given next and again wants to give
Yes,
improvement.
that's what I think.
No, but next is not applicable as yet, na. Improve means
Any
okay, let's
suggestions how
take it
to?
as make a better performance in the next exam.
Yes, sir.
Can I know which uh, which year this student is from? Because the preparation type will change accordingly. So let's assume that this is a second prof student, second year students reading patho and pharmac.
He
So I
mentioned
believe,
third right now.
oh, it's written final year. Okay.
He said third,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, fine. So now focus on your three main subjects: medicine, surgery, and OBGY. Focus on that. You have less time, and if required, then only go back to those other subjects, because major chunk is going to be from the clinical subjects only. Therefore, if you want to improve that, whatever you said, score means have a better performance in this, just stick to the three main subjects, and allied subjects you may just read whenever required. That's it. Like I said, multiple sclerosis, you may read it from medicine, read all the criteria and all the signs and symptoms. If you require to read the action potential and conduction, saltatory conduction, just read that quickly. That's it. And as I mentioned, yeah, I think that part was missed by many, so I'll repeat it once again. Buy the MCQ books which are there, buy one, and just mark out the topics first which have been asked repeatedly, because as I said, that MCQs are set up by the subject experts, and if a topic is being repeatedly asked, that means there is a very high chance that it will be asked again in the next exam. So mark out such topics for yourself, and then read the basics for that topic, and then try solving the MCQs. But there is no reference, so everybody will have zero starting point. Everybody starting from the same line, and therefore you will have to prepare your own ways.
So part of this question only, what books to refer for MCQs?
Uh, Again, I don't want to mention a publication or an author, but why I'm saying this is because any MCQ book gives MCQs which were asked in the last 5 years or 10 years, last 5 or 10 years exams. and therefore the MCQs remain the same in all the books, whatever book you select. So book doesn't matter. Actually, what matters is explanation to those MCQs given. That matters the most. So what I would suggest to you is that if you go on to buy an MCQ book, just go through a few MCQs of your subject, so the subject which you like, and look at on the back the other pages where explanation is given. If it satisfies you, then only go for that book. Again, I'm saying these are, I mean, MCQs will remain the same because last 10 years MCQs in the exams, so they will be the same. Explanations will differ, and therefore there cannot be one book that I say and it will be applicable to all of you. Just see whether it suits you to your liking. Select MCQs, a few MCQs of your subject, and see the explanations because MCQs remain the same in all books. Yeah, you can. Well,
So he
just
just
addition.
continued.
Just one addition.
Yeah, continue.
Uh, I may take a few names of the books. Uh, Look, we are slowly moving towards the PLAB and USMLE type exams. Okay, I mean we are slowly moving towards that pattern, and therefore there are certain books which are specifically designed for those exams. So particularly this third year student who has asked this question that in short time how can I improve? You can go for those books. Look, in those books, I mean, there used to be an NMS series, National Medical Series books for every subject, or BRS short review books. They are there. They are specifically designed for PLAB or USMLE. Go for those books then, because okay, those books give you the problem solving MCQs. So MCQ may not be repeated, but at least if you, it gives you the idea that okay, this is how the question can come, and this is how I should approach that question. Just remember, just one more point. Many of you, and that includes me too, when I was in third MBBS. If there was a question of 3, 4, 5 lines, by just looking at the MCQ, I would drop it out. I mean, say, oh, this I wouldn't understand this. Five lines just on the question. Don't do that, because all such questions which have 4 or 5 lines in the question actually have one line or one point which is actually a giveaway. It gives you the answer. It's a hint. So look for such hints, and that will come only when you read these books. PLAB or USMLE type books. That will make you more oriented towards such MCQs. So NMS series, BRS series, such short review type. Go for those because we are moving to in that direction, PLAB and USMLE pattern. So that might definitely help. Yeah.
Okay, sir. So he just added on to his question to ask that can we attempt next one again in order to improve the rank? Is that possible?
Yes. Yes. This question came up even as early as the first meeting that the panel had with all the stakeholders. There were IMA representatives, there were other representatives, and this question was very much asked in that first meeting itself. Whether we can appear for the next again to improve the rank. Yes, you can. Means you have already become eligible and you got certain rank. So eligibility allows you to practice. Fine. So that's now there in your pocket. And now you can appear for the exam again to improve your ranks. That option has been given, but for the limited number of attempts. Limited number of attempts. There was one question: if I give exam and for the next 2 years I am not able to join some college after the internship, will my rank hold or not? So they are working on these things. That my rank in the next which was given last year and I could not join. So for how long it will be valid? All these points are still being worked out. But yes, you can definitely appear once again. That option is being given. At least in the proposal, it's there.
Okay, sir. So, sir, the next question is for applying for out of India colleges, do we need to give next only, or do we have to appear for other exams too?
No. For applying for the other colleges for PG, right? Yes, it will be
No,
next.
no,
Out of India
they
colleges.
meant to ask. Yes, outside India. Maybe they mean about USMLE PLAB, I guess.
Yes, yes, yes. Then you will have to appear for exams in those countries and not the next.
Uh, okay, we do not need next to pass out of our colleges and okay,
No,
all
but you
right,
will
all
have to
right.
complete that eligibility.
Hmm.
1 minute.
Yes, sir.
Your medical degree becomes valid only when you pass the next.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay.
So you will have to give that. Yeah. And then for PG, you'll have to appear again for that country's exam. Okay.
And sir, related to this only, if I'm planning to give USMLE or PLAB, how should I go about studying for both?
Uh, for both means USMLE and next, or PLAB and next, like that, or
Yes,
USMLE
sir,
and
PLAB
PLAB.
and next and USMLE and next.
Okay. Well, so as I mentioned, uh, just go for those books which are specifically oriented for PLAB and USMLE. And if you have, I mean, uh, if you are in second year, right?
Yes, sir.
So you still have time. At least you can plan for step one, step two. So prepare stepwise, and then just have your current year subject and your past year subject, club them and read together.
Right, sir.
And buy those books which are for PLAB and USMLE.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
sir.
All right. So I guess this is the last question. Any specific suggestions for second prof students?
For second prof students, um, you are in a better position. That's a good thing because you will have at least one or two exams already happened. Next means you will not be the first batch. So right now, please, make a two-track preparation. Your college subject and at the same time your previous year subject. Club them and read. And I would say if you're in second year, focus on these six systems. That will help you in your pharmac patho as well as your previous subjects and the next subjects. CVS, RS, CNS, kidney, and then general physio nerve muscle. You will see most of the pharma, most of the patho, and physio and anat are filled with these six systems. So focus on them maximally. That will help. And as I said, make a two-track preparation. Today you are reading pharmac, so read ANS from the pharmac. But before that, just clear out ANS from your physiology and anatomy also, and then read it, and then go ahead to solve the MCQs. You have time if you are in second year. You are in the best position because then you will know by the time you go for next, you will have at least two exams before you. So that will help definitely.
And sir, somebody is asking what is INI CET exam?
Okay. Look, the MCI or NMC, they started the medical college or they governed the medical colleges all over India in various states. But apart from that, uh, central government enacted a law in the parliament for establishing certain institutes, and those institutes are called as INIs. INI is Institute of National Importance. So that comes straight under central government, and therefore AIMS, JIPMER Pondicherry, and such are called as INIs, Institutes of National Importance. They don't generally come under MCI or NMC. The rules don't those NMC rules or MCI rules are not applicable to them. But previously, what used to happen that different aims had their own different exams. JIPMER will have its own exam. So a student had to give so many exams, even for these colleges, medical colleges, means AIMS, JIPMER, and then the NEET. So now they have clubbed all those colleges into one exam, which is now called as INI CET. CET. This is a common entrance test for all the INIs. That's different. But I think that eventually this exam also will not exist and there will be only next. That's my guess again. Because if a student has to give INI CET also, next also, then the whole purpose is lost. Na? They want a single window shopping. That okay, I give one exam, it gives me license to practice, it gives me my rank and everything. So that's INICET, basically Institute of National Importance. AIMS exams, they are, yes, uh, that reminds me, if you can go through the previous papers of AIMS and JIPMER entrance exams, that will help you tremendously because many MCQs were based on the problem solving ability and the clinical case type MCQs in the AIMS exam and JIPMER exam, which is now called INICET. So if you can get hold of those papers in the recent years, last 4 or 5 years, um, that it will give you an idea as to how the next will be, what question types will be in the next. That gives you the idea.
All right. So the question is, what advice would you give to the 2017 batch as they would be the first ones to give the exam, the next exam?
Yes. Okay. The advice is this handicap is there for all the students who are appearing for the first time. Means you might think, oh, it's difficult for me. So is it for everybody who is appearing for the first time. Okay. So that evens out. It's like, I'll just give you an example. Uh, there is a question in physiology, which nerve fiber type is most susceptible to the action of local anesthetics. In Gamma, it is given C fiber type, nerve fiber type. And in anesthesia, they teach A delta type. Now, this is a handicap, but it is handicap for all the 1 lakh students who are appearing for the exam. It's not only for you. So, therefore, chill. I mean, relax. Everybody is having that this thing handicap and nobody knows. So what I believe is relax. You have read so far, and as I said, it's not tough to be eligible. What will be tough slightly will be the rank. So you will be eligible, don't worry about that. In the remaining time, whatever is time left for you, just as I mentioned again, third time, mark out the topics which have been asked repeatedly. There is a very, very high chance that the problem solving or clinical case type MCQ will also come from those topics only. They are the favorites of those particular respective subjects. So from today onward, you can try doing this. Select the MCQ book, anyone, and go on looking at the MCQs, physio MCQs or medicine MCQs, surgery MCQs, and then just read those topics well, extremely well. So that will stand you in good stead then.
All right, sir. So we can end with the question answer session at this point.
Fine.
And if any of the participants still have any doubts, they can always post it on the WhatsApp group, and we'll make sure to be in touch with sir regarding the same. On that note, I would like to thank Dr. Vivek sir for taking the time out to help us out with this, as all this is very new for each one of us. But you certainly made it very easy for us to understand. So, on behalf of all the participants and the team of AMSA, I would like to thank you for making this webinar so wonderful. And we also have one of our state heads with here, Pranjal, if she would like to add something to it.
Hello. Good evening, sir. And hi, Shivangi and Ria. So, sir, it was a wonderful session. I heard it all and I was throughout there. And it cleared much of my doubts and I hope of many of the participants as well. So, I'd like to give kudos to Shivangi and Ria for managing this so beautifully and bringing this to all of us at AMSA. And thank you so much, sir, for clearing us and
Yes,
helping
yes.
us out with
And
this thing
all
that
the best
is
to you
new to
all.
each one of
Don't
us.
worry. Yes, yes. All the best to you all. It's not tough. It's not going to be tough. Just the pattern is changing here and there. If you have a good understanding, it's going to be easy. Don't worry about that.
Thank you
And
so
I'd
All
much.
the
also
best.
like to thank all the participants for attending this webinar. And I hope that everybody is going back with a much clearer idea of the whole scenario. And thank you for your patient listening. Take care and stay safe, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ria.